There are 5 parts: access, content, triggers, requests, and categories. The first and very critical one, so critical forgetting it will get your app rejected, is to ask permission to access notifications. Early in your application launch, either in the view-did load of your root controller or even better in the app delegate, use the request authorization options completion handler method of UN User Notification Center. The completion handler closure sets a property is granted access you'll use in your code to check if the access is granted. On the first run of the application, the user is presented with an alert to permit user notifications. If they reply no, notifications are suppressed in our code based on the isGrantedAccess flag. The content is the text and attachments that appear in the notification. We create content using a UN mutable notification content object, though notifications will store this as the immutable UN notification content. In this example, content is text of a title and a body. It also contains a category identifier. The notification framework associates this identifier with actions the notification can display. A trigger gives the conditions when the notification appears on a user's device. You could trigger a scheduled time, a map location, or a time interval. Here's an example of a 5-second time interval trigger. A request takes the content and trigger, wrapping it up with a unique identifier. To launch a request, you add it to the current User Notification Center. When the trigger's condition occurs, the Notification Center delivers the notification to the device. It takes the category from the content and displays a series of action buttons in the notification. We set categories early in the launch of the app, adding actions like the snooze action here in the category. When any interaction happens with the notification, a delegate method of the Notification Center fires. We use the category and action identifiers to perform actions in the background. Hitting the snooze button in a notification launches a method hit snooze button, which might resend the notification with a time interval of 5 seconds. These are the major parts of a local notification: access, content, triggers, requests, and categories. There's a lot more here, and I do suggest looking at the Learning iOS Notifications course for the details. You ask for access to permit notifications. You make a request with content and a trigger, then add the request to the Notification Center. You add categories with actions to an app. The request will meet the conditions of the trigger, then display the content and the actions defined by the categories. Those actions, if selected by the user, runs code in a delegate method without ever opening the app. Keep all this in mind as we look at remote notifications. Those parts are there, but in some very different forms.